propuesto la concesión de una amnistía general.
Este país es para los hijos de los dueños.
Si el país va a empezar de cero, nosotros ya.
Hola. Muy bien. Oh, agua.
¡Ey!
Lo sé. Claro.
¿Cómo
Sí.
estás?
Sí.
¿Qué tal estás? ¿Estás bien?
No, la peste. Sí, y el hombre de las mil caras también.
Menos mal que tengo aquí a mi director.
Sí.
¿Eh? Sí.
Sí, empezamos ya.
No, esto es frizzante.
Vale. Egunon.
Good morning, everyone, to the 70th edition of the San Sebastian International Film Festival. The film is Modelo 77 or Prison 77. And in this first press conference, the film, as I said, was Prison 77. We have with us most of the cast and crew from the right to the left, José Antonio Félez, producer, Rafael COBOS, the screenplay writer, Fernando TEJERO, actor, MIGUEL, actor, ALBERTO Rodríguez, director, JAVIER Gutiérrez, director, actor in CATALINA, SOPELANA, and also director in CATALINA, SOPELANA, actress. I want to start with a question for myself, which is almost a compulsory question. Everyone has been on many occasions to the San Sebastian Film Festival. The Factor Pilgrim, for example, in José Antonio, Seven Virgins in the case of Rafael. And my question is, how do you feel by inaugurating the film festival for the first time, and also bearing in mind your filmography? There are films such as Seven Virgins, Group 7 and Model 77. I wonder were you looking forward to inaugurating the 70 or the 70th edition of the San Sebastian Film Festival? Well, on the one hand, good morning, everyone. On the one hand, I think that we're very glad to be here and feeling the weight of the responsibility. I feel amongst being nervous and looking forward to it, and very happy that you're going to see the film. So we're very happy. It's an honor to inaugurate the film festival, the truth be said. And the 7 you were referring, I'm going to answer. Truth is, Rafael is quite superstitious. And when we did 7 Virgins, the film worked very well. And we didn't know what number to put on the film, and we said 2 sevens. When we did Group 7, we had to find for a number. He said, no, 7, because it worked with the previous film. So that's why we repeated the number 7. And I think in this case, and this specific year, 1977, means a lot in the history of this country. Hi, good morning. Congratulations for this great, monumental film. And in El Cursal, everyone was clapping for a long time. And the DAs who were in the board in the courts in Argentina, things are done in the past, present, and the future, and the memory also of the past. I want to ask you why the Modelo jail, that is to say, and all of those who want to answer a bit, perhaps, what do you think this film says or tells in Spain 2022? And congratulations, the truth be said. Thank you very much. Well, what drew our attention from the outset when we learnt about the escape of 45 prisoners in 1978, which is what drew our attention, and that's where the film starts, and then the existence of COPEL, APR, which is the jail, which is a place where everyone is separated. We didn't know how people got together when they make you forget things and do brutal things like the model. There were 200 people cut their veins in their arms so that the press could come in, and I would like to know what conditions they were in. So therefore, that human story we thought was incredible that could have been done. And following an impossible goal, utopian, to see whether people could follow them, and it was admiration really at the end of the day. This is a film which we started to work upon in 2005. We've taken a very long time to be able to make it because La Modelo prison was still in operation up until 2017. So we couldn't shoot there. So therefore, another important thing was the context in which the story was told and where it's developed. This country could aspire to everything because there wasn't a limit yet established. We were going from the dictatorship through to democracy, and so it was probably the time in which there was more feeling of freedom in the country at that time. And if we were talking about some prisoners who were inside a jail at that same time, I thought it was quite significant to do so. And I think the truth is that the film has a second reading behind it, but I think that depends upon the audience. The ideal thing for us is that we thought from the outset it could be a very entertaining film, that the audience could have a good time and go home asking yourselves questions after you've seen the film. Hi, good morning. All of you, congratulations for the film. I think it's like a pressure cooker, really. It's a film which is a tough film, a hard film. And I would like to ask you and Alberto the paradox that exists, that you make a film, which is a jail film in a prison, a drama in jail, but paradoxically to talk about freedom. Yes, it precisely has to do with what I've just said. I think it went right through, it drained right through to the jail. That is that cry for freedom that the country was going through at that time. I think that jail or prison is a reflection of a society in one way or another. And that's what we were pursuing as well. That's one of the reasons why we shot the film in La Modelo jail, and the size, because it's a reflection of a city and a society, a prison or jail. Have I answered you, Conchita? Yes, more or less? I've answered you, more or less. Is that right? I hope so. Hi, good morning. Over here. Congratulations, first of all, to all the cast, the director, and the producers. My question is for Alberto and everyone on the panel there. By making this film, because quite often we've been told that Spain went through a very exemplary transition period into democracy, and I'm not too sure whether you, the actors, by making this film, have changed your position upon this, and as citizens, do you believe there are still echoes of that, the ghost of Franco, of that past that Spain had, which is being questioned from a legal standpoint in this case? Javi, you want to answer? Well, I'm not very optimistic. Good morning, everyone. And this increase of the right wing in Europe at present, I don't think we're going through good times. As Alberto says, which is envy and emotion, how a group of prisoners in that system and at that time of going through the transition into democracy, which is more grey than white, I would say, it's quite envious to me how that group of prisoners, with everything against them, suffering torture, all sort of and deaths, and being beaten quite often, managed to achieve what they managed to achieve. It's a prison which was in the heart of a city as Barcelona. Now the prisons are outside cities, and it'd be impossible to see the claims of prisoners as was lived through at that time. So therefore, I think the pandemic has made it much more egotistic and individualistic. And I think that this causes quite a bit of envy, and it's what is happening in the film is quite exciting and very moving. Hi, I would like to ask the actors. I understand that you've worked with prisoners that were in COPEL, that were in the prisons at that time. I'd like to ask you what the process was like, José, to understand, sorry, what the process was like, how it was to work with them, and see the position not only from the script, but also after talking with the real prisoners who were in jail at the time. Well, okay. I'll take this question. Good morning. I met only one true prisoner who was one of the visible faces of COPEL, who I think was Daniel Pons. And the truth is it's quite surprising to listen to them. You can see in their face what they've lived through. And I'm not making this up. They look at you very deeply with their eyes after years of desperation and struggle. And talking to him was quite enriching for me, because you're in front of a person that's gone through all of the jails in Spain, who tells you in details everything they've lived through, who explains things that don't appear in the film, how you've got to struggle at night against the rats so that they can't steal your meals at the end of it. And you see this fantastic gentleman, Daniel, and who's almost 80 years old. He continues to struggle for the rights of prisoners. He continues to believe in this. And I think that people like him are very necessary, because we talk about a change in our society. And in this aspect, I'm a bit more optimistic, because I think that it's a long process. We come from where we've come, and this happened very few years ago. And I don't think we're going down the wrong path, albeit we might take a step back sometimes. And these people who continue to struggle in favor of this goal, these people don't have a voice and don't have a vote. And they're still there, because practically 70% who are in jail or in prison are due to causes that can be reviewed. These are people that are in a precarious situation, that had to steal because of the need, people that have done things that are not good. But fitting into their own context, if we wanted to understand them, the truth is we wouldn't leave them in jail. And I think it's necessary to have these people out there to change the penitentiary system we have, because we're not reforming. All we're doing is punishing. And that's all I wanted to say. Shooting in the Modelo jail was quite a prison, is a big protagonist in the film. We see films and we see the figuration in the film. It's not only the main focus tells the truth, but wherever you look, there's truth and realism. In Alberto's films, this happens quite a lot. We had the opportunity of it was the mining district, and some of the people, the extras, were in the prison, and they were in the same cells where they'd spent many, many years. This adds a lot of realism to the film. As an actor, it also places you in another place. To have the privilege of portraying a role in the place where the real events happened. Hi, congratulations for the film. And as you've said, is entertaining at the same time. I would like to ask you, at what time in the project did the idea emerge of those comical scenes of the chicken, or the optical effect? And the truth is, humor is very important for a film to be successful in Spain as well as in the rest of the world. Thank you. Thank you. I think that humor is inherent to human beings. I need humor to live. And from the outset of this film, what we wanted to do was for the characters to not be stereotypes. We wanted to really be, or to feel that the audience can feel them as real human beings, as persons, as people above all. And in that sense, humor entered naturally into the story. We didn't want to find a specific effect at a given time. No, it appeared quite naturally. That's the feeling I have, don't you think? Yes, the script was much more comical. The truth is, I think, like Alberto said, I think that humor is a fantastic tool, because among things that helps you to give more potential to the dramatic side of things, the scenes, I would say. And it's a tough film. It was good to use it, and it's a very upfront film, because irony helps that the message can be transmitted and conveyed much better. I think it was necessary, because such an asphyxiating film, it needed those escapes, for example, so that it relieves tension. The chicken is a real event, that is to say. The chicken they threw in, I don't know how they did this because it's very high, the wall, but it did happen, and the fact there are photos of that time with the chicken inside the jail. Hi, good morning. I'm over here, Alberto, over on your right. As you know, I love the film, and I see that there are many elements that work very harmonically in the portrayal of the actors, the rhythm, the balance between the different departments. And I would like to ask you whether you feel especially comfortable making this film and whether you felt that you've achieved a certain important level of maturity in your filmmaking. Now, it's finished, and it seems that everything was very simple, but the process, I continue to suffer. Maturity doesn't come into doesn't fit into this situation with me. But we were all very united and with enormous commitment from the actors to all of the crew. I think they've been deeply involved in the film, and I enjoyed it very much. It's a film in which we've been trying to make for many years, and we finally started to shoot it. It recovered that great illusion of having a good time and having fun. This doesn't mean it was a party all the time. Unfortunately, that's not the way I am. That's not my character, not my personality. But it is a film that I believe that we've all enjoyed ourselves very much, with good and tough times. But in order to make things work, I want to thank them all very much. That's what Javi was talking about. Extras, we set up a WhatsApp group with the prisoners and the policemen, and they continued to tell each other stories. Everyone was deeply involved. What Javier says of what was happening, everyone was trying to find, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, because this is when I come in. I come and pick this up, and then I go out and talk to that other person. So there was a deep involvement with everyone who participated. Everyone was very generous, and it was a pleasure, the truth be said, to shoot this film. I can tell you, just as a side note, I remember I went to Alberto one day on a Monday, and I said, hey, Jesus, Alberto, you've managed to do something that I never thought would happen. I'm much happier on Monday getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning than on Friday when I finish shooting. I don't want to stop. The truth is, I personally enjoyed it exceptionally. So thank you, Miguel. Taking advantage of the question about the process, whether José Antonio and Domingo, would you like to talk about the process from your standpoint? José Antonio, well, as Alberto said, the idea comes from, since back in 2005, the process has been, I've been quite fortunate to produce all of Alberto's films, from Factor Pilgrim to the last film, which is The Man of a Thousand Faces. Many have been premiered here in San Sebastian, but it's been a very long process for this film. From the outset, when we started to talk about it, Alberto as well as Rafa were very interested in making the film, and also, as Alberto said, it was impossible because we couldn't find a location which was the same as the Modelo prison, a jail which was large where we could shoot the film. At the end of the day, when we left it in the drawer, the idea and the documents that were received, which was quite extensive, because they gave us an enormous amount of documents, the press and all research and documentation for those years. And we left it in a drawer, and we continued to make films until this opportunity arose. That is, we asked ourselves 2 years ago, we were talking to Domingo because they wanted to make it in co-production with Movie Star, and Domingo thought it was a story that was worthwhile being told, and we started the project. The script was written very quickly for what is a normal process, because developing the script, that process is quite in-depth. and it's much slower normally, but here we were very quick, and quite quickly we had a script prepared which had a face and eyes. And there was something that was more complicated, that is to allow us to shoot the film within the prison. The prison is empty, as has been said, since 2017, but up until now, the permits given were permits to shoot 1 or 2 days. And we needed the prison for much more time. And in fact, we had to return it to the aspect that it had when the events occurred. That's 1977, the prison had changed the morphology of the prison and so on. Therefore, we had to set up a project. There was engineering, a company was involved, and we had to make changes. Fortunately, we managed to achieve all of these permits, thanks to another Alberto, who worked very hard to do so for many months. And then with the support of the City Council of Barcelona, the Barcelona Generalitat, the Catalonian government, we were able to get the permission. We had sufficient weeks in order to shoot there. So therefore the process is a very long process, but it was a process, as Alberto said, was where we were all very focused. There was a very strong connection between everyone. And at the end, I think that the result, I am very proud of it, and I think the rest of us are as well. Well, I would like to add to what Antonio says. We're very proud in Movistar process. Prison 77 is exactly the film that we want to produce, that we want to promote. There's a line which we've developed in our series is to tell our story. We did that with the El Invisible and with the El Día de Mañana. And while the war lasts, and it works very well in Movistar Plus, I think that we've got to be committed with our country, our society, and our culture to tell our stories, our history. And what better way to do it with this incredible cast and crew that's with us here today, which we started up with the plague, and with which we want to continue to work with, which I think it's marvelous to work with them. So we're very proud and very happy to present the film Prison 77 here today. Hi, good morning. I'd like to ask about how the script was written, the photos that appear at the end of the film. I'm not too sure that they appeared before making the film or shooting the film, or did they come with the documentation that you were given? How was the documentation to prepare the script? And vis-a-vis this script, someone in the film says the following, which I like very much, if I remember it very well. The right of every prisoner is to escape. That specific phrase, was that from the outset in the script? Yes, it was. It's also a maximum slogan, that is to say. It was there from the outset, and vis-a-vis from the documents, it was quite exhaustive. We spent quite a few years holding interviews with prisoners, to prison guards, journalists, lawyers, everyone who we could find who had to do with what COPEL was and the Association of Prisoners was. We were looking at newspapers of the past. There was daily information about what happened in the prison at that time, before and after the political amnesty that was granted. And there was a lot of bibliography as well, because over these years, people who we've interviewed that then wrote books about the film. And the photographs was one of the main issues that we had in our documentation that we were provided, designing the wardrobe for the actors, to staging everything basically of the prisoners. The photos we had, those in the credits that appeared at the last moment, but most of the photos we had an enormous amount of photographs. We had a lot of photos in our computer, stored away in our computer. It was a very long process, documentation. I think all we needed was to spend some time in jail, the truth is. But as Alberto says, most of the photos appeared in our initial development, which was back in 2005. And I think that in that sense, it was a second opportunity. Works don't finish, they're abandoned for a time. We abandoned it for a certain time. We took it up again 10 or 12 years later, and looking at it with a different perspective and be able to distill it and to make it even better. That time was very good for us to construct what the film is. Hi, congratulations for inaugurating the 70th edition of the San Sebastian Film Festival. 3 questions so that you can all answer. I want to ask my colleague Fernando, and I think he's a character that you've enjoyed portraying, because I don't know whether you needed it, but I see that you felt comfortable and leaving that comic side of your normal roles that you played, that you feel like stop being a comedian. Light actors, we don't want to fit you into a certain type of character or a genre. Miguel and Javier, what drew my attention was during the press conference that you've got these 2 visions. Javier said he's more pessimistic, his vision, vis-a-vis how things are happening, vis-a-vis freedom. Miguel is more optimistic. What drew my attention, because the difference in age, because you were 1996, was when you were born, we're more or less at the same age, and Javier, you were much younger in 1978, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Let's leave it. I'm still a very small person. I'm very young. Not only young, I'm small. But what drew my attention, but in that sense, you believe that film, because it's a film that allows us to ask a lot of questions, we can mold people's ideologies and opinions. Could you tell us that, whether the films and cinema molds people's minds? And also to finish, Alberto, what does escape and prison films, which all end to be works of art and masterpieces? Well, I think film, personally for me, has given me a lot. That is, for me, this profession has the ability to change your life. I think for good as well as for bad. All of the events depends on how you live through them. I think that we've got the possibility of telling stories that the truth is it can change people's minds, at least make them think. I think this film, Prison 77, I've got a friend who has made him think quite a lot, because he was going through a situation which was complicated. And through this film, he has changed. He's changed a way of behaving and living, and he's improved his quality of life. I think that a film has the capacity to do so. I don't believe that every project that's made is made to change people's life or for people to think. There are many types of projects, but undoubtedly films can give you a lot, I believe. You were talking about entertainment throughout this film. Obviously, films form part of leisure and entertainment, but I think that the films that I like, or we like here, all of us today, and many of you today is a film, is like is this type of film. Not only do you have a good or a bad time, is the truth is it transforms you as a citizen and as a spectator. And I think that Alberto's films, precisely that's what they do. If you look back from Seven Virgins, Grupo Siete, the Isla Minima, or The Man of a Thousand Faces, they talk about the socio-political reality of this country. And I think that the spectators who want to draw and pull on that string are going to find a lot of questions. That's what we want to do when we make films in cinema. And what you were referring to, I think it's a genre that touches you very deeply. There's nothing worse than your time belonging to somebody else. That's the worst thing that can happen to you. So therefore, it's very easy to feel empathic or empathetic, or feel empathy towards these people. I think that it's a basic need, I think. It doesn't matter whether you're guilty or innocent. After 5 minutes, I want them to escape straight away, and they should be declared innocent. Well, for me, the truth is, it's been a dream, because Alberto knows that for many years now, I was always fishing and telling him to see whether I felt like working with him. The truth is, he's the best director we've got here in Spain. I say it as I feel it. And there was a time I'm very happy, because the truth is that my character is a character which is a complex character. It's not a leading character, but he's got a very beautiful range, and it's very difficult, very little time. I had to tell a lot of things, and to understand that range that the character has. I enjoyed very much portraying my character. The truth is one of the jobs that I feel more comfortable in. I hope that I can work with Alberto again as soon as possible. And I'd like to say that for me it's been a dream come true, that I would always thank Alberto, as well as Rafael and FÉLEZ and Movie Star, that having had me participate in this film, because I'm very moved and very happy. I think we've done a great film. Catalina, I would like to know your opinion, the character who's the jump into color. What was the process? Well, hi, good morning. It's been a gift, my character, from the outset when I read the script. I think that Lucia contributed something to the film, gave a light, contributed light and change. And it was also a challenge, because everything happens through a screen, and creating the character was very interesting as well. And I enjoyed it very much, and I'm very, very happy, the truth be said. Hi, a question for Alberto. When I started to listen to the project about the film, I understood, I thought it was focused upon the escape of La Modelo prison in 1978. But when I saw the film, I've seen that's not the case, because it's not built for the climax to be the escape. It's completely different. You wanted to tell other things in the story, and to move about the prison drama and the political thriller. I'm not too sure how to explain this, because the escape happens after 2 hours into the film. A bit earlier, yes, and in 10 minutes it's finished. So is that a decision which is quite risky, isn't it, from a script standpoint? Perhaps it's my prejudice, because I wanted to see a film about the escape from the Modelo prison, but that's not the case, no. I think you've explained it very well. It's the resolution, it's how it's resolved. For me, I would think at the end of the film it has poetic justice, because the real justice doesn't come along. And I'm spoiling the film, perhaps it's a spoiler for you. But the truth is, the ending is pure poetic justice.
¿Qué tal, Alberto?
Hi.
Soy Gonzalo Hurtado.
Hi, Alberto. I'm from Peru. I would like to ask you, seeing your film, I can't avoid thinking about Alan Parker's film, Midnight Express, for example, refers to the subgenres, which is something that you've not avoided from the musical standpoint. How have you looked about those films that had another reason in the prison film? The truth is, when prior to preparing the film, I look to a lot of films. When we get close to the shooting of the film, preparing the final part of the film, when I shoot the film, I normally don't look at anything, because I feel affected by something. I feel this is a safe place, and I don't want to see films before I start work. I'm a better spectator than a director, I believe. I always say this. I can practically see any type of film, and I'm interested in that film. And the truth is, I like the genre very much, and I imagine in this film, there are things from many films, perhaps Midnight Express, but perhaps there are things from Midnight Express. What was a reference for us was Beckett's French film, The Escape. And if you look at it, there's a little gesture of the toothbrush with the mirror where they can see the gallery, which this was a tribute, a nod to that film, because of how simple it was, and how to stage it, and the point of view that that film has. That's the clearest reference. But if you look at it, there are many other films, because of what I said, because it's a genre that I like, and as a spectator, I have a great time watching these types of films, truth be said. Hi, good morning. A question for the director and for the rest of the actors. The film wants to tell and portray, it's a portrait of the political side of things, political prisoners, homosexuals, that are people, obviously heroin being introduced into the film, into the prison, many things. Whether there are any things that you would have liked to have developed a bit more in the film, because introducing heroin, which caused havoc in the 1980s in prison, this was just touched upon as a tangent. But the producers were saying that they wanted to portray more moments in the story. In the future, what other periods would you be interested in portraying in films such as this? Well, the truth is, what happened during the documentation is that we found thousands of stories. Each prisoner had something to tell, or a story to tell. And the truth is that we had to disregard a lot of things and leave out a lot of things. It was quite a peculiar moment. In the Modelo jail prison, there was a module of inverted people, was divided in congenital and queers, that is to say. There were the people from the Democratic Military Union, the people that had a conflict as well. Els Joglars was there as well, because they were in the process of La Torna, and we interviewed a couple of members from Els Joglars at that time. There were so many stories, so much to tell. It was so much, we had to select, and we left out a lot of things. No, I think that, I think we left what we needed to leave for the film, but there were thousands of things, stories we could have told, yes. I can't tell you really any specific event that we would love to have told in the film, but when you enter into the story of what happened, the important thing is to talk about the present to a certain extent. For it to be, what happened is relevant and nowadays, and I think, and as we're saying here, from that place, we can talk about many things which are relevant for today. As Miguel said, I think that looking about what happens in a prison and to understand why the people that are in there are imprisoned, for example, and make that humanizing this and doing it incredibly, just like Alberto does and Rafa does, I think this is something important to show. In the future, we're very open to tell many stories of the past, but they've got to be relevant for today's audience, for today's public, and for us. Last question, please. Hi, good morning. I would like to ask you whether this film, you focused it to, obviously, for the Spanish market, because you're talking about something which was transcendental, the democratic process and the escape from the Modelo prison, but the prison genre internationally is exported quite a lot. You have actors like Javier Gutiérrez, who's well known. Miguel is so much now because of series and the work he's done in films. This is more for Domingo than for Alberto. Are you thinking that this film can go international beyond just a few months it'll spend in Spain? The truth is, I've never, personally, Domingo will tell you in a moment, but I had no idea about this. We made a film like La Isla Mínima, which are two cops in the transition in the marshlands of Guadalquivir, and it was seen in half the world. It sold 300,000 tickets in France, or 350,000 tickets. So it won the award to European Audience Award. A lot happened to it. Then we made other films that we thought that were very commercial, and they've gone nowhere. So therefore, you never know. But I believe the film makes it compatible. It's a film, it's a genre film, which deals of an historical moment in our country and has a subtext and a series of issues, background issues, which are going to be interpreted much better for people from here in Spain, but I think it's universal. I imagine it will go international and have a good international run. Well, the film, it's already gone because it's been presented in different international markets, and contracts are being signed. And despite the fact that at the moment that film distribution is going through is not the best moment in time, the markets are still quite stagnant, but the film has drawn a lot of interest, and we hope that it will work and travel as well as La Isla Mínima did in the past. It worked very well. practically all the European countries. And I think it was a film which was quite notable. It received the award, the audience award to the best European film was La Isla Mínima that year, and that's voted upon by the spectators of different European countries. So therefore it's not a vote that has a jury. No, it's the audience that votes. So therefore this film, I sincerely believe, and I hope, and I think that Disney is going to do excellent work here in Spain. It's an audience film, and I think I hope that it's something that the audiences can go and see the film. I think that fundamentally it's an entertaining film, and then it has different layers, and it'll go as far as it goes, but I think that the film works. Yes, of course. It's a moment to go back to the film theaters, to start with the film festival. It's an exciting day for the people who are on the side of this table and the rest of the people. A big round of applause for cast and crew of Prison 77.